Tanya is the owner of Madison Chase Capital Advisors based in Wakanda, aka Atlanta. She is a mortgage broker. She's been in the business for several years, and she's funding a lot of business. So I normally, and you know what's crazy too, because I normally don't bring other mortgage professionals on my channel or in my webinars, for that matter. And in this webinar, I brought in two mortgage professionals, both owners of their own companies. And I say, you know what? I'm not going to, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm going to celebrate these queens, right? Because they're in the same line of business as I am. And I said, why not? Why not bring them on? Hopefully people will start working with them, at least follow them, but hopefully they get some deals out of this as well, because, you know, it's a lot of room out here for all of us to make money. So let's bring on Tanya. Let's talk to Tanya about how to start your own mortgage company, because I get that question all the time. So let's bring on someone who actually owns her own company. So Tanya, introduce yourself to my YouTube clan.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much, Matt, for having me. I totally appreciate it. We met years ago at NAMBA, their first inaugural conference in Atlanta. And that's when we first met. And my name is Tanya Blanchard. I'm the owner of Madison Chase Capital Advisors. I'm located in Alpharetta, Georgia. Right now I'm licensed in Georgia and Florida. I'm expanding second quarter of this year. This actually makes my 19th year in the business, and May will make 5 years of owning my own company.
I love it. I love it. So let's talk about that process, right? Because I get people all the time asking me, how do you start your own mortgage brokerage? So can you walk us through that process?
Yes, I would say really to start your own mortgage company, you really need to go work for a broker. You know, so many times people don't want to put in, a lot of people want to go work for themselves just for the money. I wanted to work for myself because I saw the disparity in lending. And I knew that if I had my own company, I would be able to call my shots. You know, when you work for somebody else, it's a lot of control, whether it's, you know, rush reports. Well, can I pay for someone's appraisal? Can I do this? Can I do that? When you're the owner, you make the rules. So I would say you should go work for a reputable broker. I worked for a broker in Atlanta for 2 years because, you know, with the Frank Dodd Act, everybody who was with the broker went to a bank. We thought banks were where it was safe, and they really wanted us to stay there. They didn't want us to be brokers again. And I decided to go to a broker in Atlanta, really small, off of Canton Street in Roswell. And I worked there for 2 years. And what it did was it reintroduced me to the broker world, you know, who your AEs are, who does what. But if you go work with somebody, you learn, oh, when I opened up Madison Chase Capital Advisors, I used Staff Matrix, that's who I used for payroll. With who was doing our compliance CE classes, that's who handles my compliance right now. The AEs that I liked, I knew who did what. And the beautiful thing about being a broker and not working for a bank or just, you know, even a bank or a small institution is that you have options. So you can do, you know, FHA 580, you can do a manual underwrite, you can do a bank statement program, you could do a DSCR loan, you could do everything across the board. I don't really think it's really a matter of your niche market. I think you have to know what you like, who you want to help. That will help instead of just saying, I do everything, you know, because if you want to do everything, you better want to do everything right.
If you want to do everything, you want to do everything right. That sounds like a line Tukes is going to use moving forward.
I love that. I love that.
Like, I think Tukes is going to use.
I love that.
I think Tukes is going to use that line.
If you want to do everything, wait, what'd you say? If you want to do everything,
you do everything right.
Do everything right. I love that.
Yeah.
I agree.
How you do anything is how you do everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Take your own advice, my friend.
I take my own advice. We are executing at a high level right now, okay? Yeah. And Tanya just dropped some major gems. So,
she did, and I love that.
So, Tanya, how long did it take for you to open up? Like, what was the licensing process like in the state of Georgia?
Absolutely. So, Georgia is pretty easy. Georgia is pretty easy. I tell everybody in 2023, I am taking credit for what I do. I'm a very, very humble person. So when people say, how do you start your own mortgage company? I'm like, it's a checklist. Just go online to NMLS. But it really is. If you go to NMLS, you see the checklist. You see the surety bond requirements. You see, it's credit, surety bond, insurance, it's all there. But what people don't really understand is you have to be ready for expenses. You have to be ready for, although Georgia doesn't require brick and mortar, they are going to come to your house. They're going to want to, if you like Credit Plus, well, now Exactus isn't going to just say, oh, well, great, Tanya's here. They come to your office. They do on-site inspection. They want to see your name. They want to see your name on the building. They want to see you have locks, security locks. They want to see you're using a router. You're not using, the free Wi-Fi. I used to be at Regis at Northwinds, and that you can't be on Regis's space. They want to make sure you have your own router, so you have that. And in Georgia, one thing you really have to know is within 2 years of opening your brokerage, Department of Banking and Finance is auditing you. That's understood. So you can't be willy-nilly. I don't, there's a thing called a call report where, let's go back to licensing. So it's right there. If somebody, offline, if they said to me, who do you use for compliance? I would absolutely give them my name, who I use. They're very reasonable. They're very well respected. When I was audited, my compliance person, Sherry, she was at the audit with me. She knew everybody from Department of Banking and Finance. It's about relationships. So the funniest thing about my audit is my daughter was working for me, and the only thing, I only got a 4 out of 5 because guess whose background check I didn't have?
Yours.
Madison's, my daughter's. So that was $1,000 fine, but they waived it. They waived it. I think they waived it because they like me. They waived it because all my stuff was in order, and my compliance person was there. So it's not something to take really lightly. There are call reports that you have to do. I've never done a call report. Every quarter, I send my compliance, all the loans I closed, how much money I made, the loan amount. They handle my call report. So you want to make sure, just take your time. It's not a matter of, if you want to open up your own brokerage because you're trying to make more money, you should open up your own brokerage, because that's really not what it's about. I opened up my own brokerage for control. I opened up my own brokerage because I believe in building generational wealth through real estate. My company is Madison Chase Capital Advisors. My daughter's Madison. My son is Chase. I named my company after them. Money was not my motive. My motive was, I was tired of, and this isn't even my spiel. I always tell people, I'm not the savior of the Black people. I don't want to hear, oh, she's here for, number one, I don't like the term African American. We're Americans. That's just another way for people to separate us and say that we're different. We're Americans. I opened my company because I believe in low rates and I believe in great service. That's why I opened up my company. And the money followed for sure. I tell anybody, hey, opening up your own company is great. It comes with a lot of risk, but it's great. But if money is your motive, you just really need to check that, because it's not really about how many bits you can get. It's really about, and for me, it was about helping people. And so it was a win-win. I got to help people. I got to be in control. I could do a loan for free without asking anybody. I don't have to say to somebody, hey, I've done loans for free. I've done loans where I just paid the processor, because the only way they were going to get in this house was if I did it. They didn't have the closing cost. So, I did a loan where, I made $1,000 and where I should have made 10. But whenever I do that, within 24, 48 hours, I get a 780 credit score, 20% down, a file I got to look at one time. So I think it's also about just doing the right thing to help people, and then it'll come back to you.
Yeah, I agree with that. A lot of everything you said, I definitely agree with. You can't, first of all, owning your own company is very risky. There's a lot of overhead that comes with owning your mortgage company. And I don't think people really realize, like when you run a credit report, boy, that thing costs money. My,
That's my biggest expense. And you know, they just went up. You saw
yep,
individual reports are now 50. And
yep.
then every time you run it, you got to pay Fannie, you got to pay Freddie, you got to pay, if you're running it through Freedom, you got to pay Freedom. So, you know, now you have to do a little bit of vetting. I used to be when it wasn't my company, I'd do a rapid rescore in a minute. Now I'm like, hey, go to myfico.com. Let's see if your report updated. Look at your mortgage score 2, 4, and 5. Whatever that mortgage score is on myfico.com, that's what we're going to see. And I tell people, if you can't pay $33 to see where you are in the process, maybe you shouldn't be buying a house.
No, I agree. That rapid rescore is the devil. That thing is the gift and the curse because it works wonders. But boy, when you get that bill, it's like, no, how much? $500 for a rapid rescore, and that thing
Exactly.
adds up.
Exactly. And you know, most of the time, if I do a rapid rescore, it's gonna be because really they're number one, I know that they're gonna close. This isn't me, this isn't me, the lack of your preparation is not my emergency. So this isn't me. Your lease is up in 60 days. You came to me at day 15. So now we have 45 days. Every credit card is to the limit. That's not the onus isn't on me to pay for that. For me, I have a previous past client that had 2 mortgage lates. I absolutely did a rescore for him. It was a mistake. They gave it to me. I had no problem doing that because I knew his score went from a 640 to a 744 when we removed the mortgage lates. That I know him legit. I knew they were mistakes. I got the letter from the creditor. You have to be that the credit report is absolutely my biggest expense during the 2020 heyday when we were rocking and rolling and we couldn't sleep. My credit report could be easily $4,000 or $5,000 a month.
Yeah. No,
Easy.
100%. No, it's crazy. I was just having this conversation, I think, yesterday or like last week. When was it? It was yesterday.
Yesterday.
I was talking about the expenses because I run my own division, and I'm like, I don't think people really understand when you're doing loans and you have to be responsible for your payroll taxes, your credit report
Absolutely.
bills. Like that credit report bill is no joke. Like 4 or 5 thousand
The
is a
credit
is a light
easy.
bill.
Exactly. Credit report, and you have to realize in Georgia, the banking department of banking and finance, every employee is a W-2 employee. So
Yep.
there's no 1099. So now I have to pay taxes on that. And that's what people don't look like with commission and BIPs. I had somebody say, yeah, I want 2.3. Well, you better go somewhere else. And if you're getting that kind of money, what kind of rate are your clients getting?
The client's getting a terrible rate.
Terrible rates. So you can make that's all I'm saying is that you have to look at the whole picture. You know what I mean? And credit report, employee taxes, benefits, rent, Encompass. I just moved to Lending Pad. Encompass was ridiculous. Encompass was $50 a month. And even with where I was still having to them. So now with Lending Pad, which I froze a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, you going in and out.
I see that. I don't know what happened. I see I'm just sitting here, but
Yeah,
I don't know
you
what to
said
say.
last thing I
Well,
heard you
at
said
least I'm not lagging.
last thing I heard you said you were saying Encompass was charging you and then it went out.
Yeah, Encompass is pretty expensive and they don't give you the support that you deserve. So you really want to find a LOS, a loan operating system that works for you. There's Arrive, there's Lending Pad. I like Lending Pad because it goes with my CRM. I use Be in Touch. So you got to think of all of that, your CRM, your Ring Central, your telephones. Like it's not just. Oh, and that's why I said it has to be work. It has to be more than the money you're doing this for. Because if it's just the money, I don't think that that's a good model. You gotta want to help people and have a little bit of passion about what you're doing.
No, I agree because in all honesty, you can make more money not owning a company, right? You can run your own branch, your own division, run a P&L model, and
Yep.
make more money than the owners are making, essentially. And that's kind of the model I've been running on for years. Is because for me, and I'm getting to a point right now that I might explore and go and open up my brokerage. Like I got some paperwork that's being worked on for New York, but I might not fully pull the trigger because when I start thinking about all the expenses that's going to come with all the responsibility of owning a company, is it truly worth it at the end of the day? Right? And I know several people who own companies. They're like, Matt, we make 50 basis points basically. You know what I'm saying? After everything's all said and done. So sometimes it's like, yo, is it really worth it owning your own company or not? Or can you just put yourself in a position to get the lion's share and still help a lot of people? So that's a debate that I've been going through for years for myself.
But you know, the only thing that I will say about owning your own company in a climate like today when rates just spiked, you're just more in control. Like I like that I can do a deal for what I want to do it for. You know, people will say, how is she doing that? Because it's my company. So, you know, a deal that I should make maybe 12, I'll make 7,000 and keep moving. You know what I mean? So that part is the control part. You know what I mean? That's the control part. But you're 100% right. The liability, you know, it comes on you. You know, when you come work for me, you've got a bunch of documents. One of the biggest we're going to sign is anti-fraud. You know, this isn't the wild, wild west. Everything just doesn't go. You know, I had somebody that I had to let go. I just said, I'm just not really digging your model. And that's all I said. And I felt like when I let them go, I was a police officer giving them you get a ticket from the police officer and you say, thank you.
Yeah.
That's what the person did. They were like, well, thank you. You know, I appreciate that. And I said, I'm not going to fire you. You know, you can resign, go somewhere else. But I've been in this business a long time. I'm from New York. I know game when I see it. I know it immediately. I know, and that's what happens. People get desperate when they don't have a pipeline. So you have to be able to go out there and market and make sure you have loans coming in. Because if you only have one or two loans, three loans in the pipeline, that means every loan has to close. That means you get excited and the inspection comes back and now they're back at the drawing board.
Deals die every day. Deals die every day. I tell all my new loan officers, look, you better have a couple months of reserves for your bills before you get into this business because it's not going to be easy. It's things happen all the time.
Nope. Exactly. Things happen all the time. Your referral partners, listen, realtors are great, but let me tell you, 9 out of 10, you're only as good as the last deal you did for them.
No loyalty. No loyalty. You're only as good as your last deal.
Exactly.
Because if some new shiny loan officer come with, hey, I got this special program, and you know what? They're going to send them all the business.
Yep. Doesn't matter how many you did in the past. So you just learn. That's just things you learn over time. You know what I mean? I'm just fortunate that, you know, I work with I've got a lot of good center of influence, people that I work with for years. You know, my reputation precedes me. So I'm blessed in that sense.
We love it, love it, love it, love it. So, Tanya, tell the people how to tap in with your company, how to follow you. Tanya will be a part of the Women's in Real Estate Summit March 27th to the 29th. We're going to have a great conversation about funding. But tell the folks how to find you today on your social media.
Absolutely. I'm Madison Chase Capital Advisors on Instagram. I'm not on Twitter. I'm not on Snapchat. Facebook, I'm Madison Chase Capital Advisors. And then my website is mccapitaladvisors.com.
Tanya, thank you for coming on today. I really appreciate your time. See you Monday.
Absolutely, Matt. Thank you. Thank you for thinking about me. All right, for
No
sure.
doubt.
Bye.
Anytime. Appreciate you.